Moving right on into the draft, we can see a little more than halfway through, give or take. And yeah, actually, Polar already with 4 picks. I'll tell you what, man, some of these teams just draft so fast. I mean, we kind of have our timings down. We start right as the draft begins, but look at the reserve time on the side of Polar. Have not even touched it, so they come in pre-med knowing exactly what they want. Navi US, they've got a Tidehunter, a Skywrath, and a Sand King, so an opening trio that shows you just how much these guys want to fight and how much pressure they want to be able to apply in the laning phase and rotationally on the side of Polar. It's going to be Puck, Venge, Lich, and Doom, so not quite Team Blue. Doom kind of the combo breaker, but this is what I would qualify as a fairly typical Polar kind of a draft. I mean, you look at it, Puck obviously is a nice AoE initiator, but more than anything, Polar just tends to gravitate towards ways to win the lane. It seems to me anyway, that Polar really does prioritize that more than anything. Let's win the lane phase. Let's rotate and pressure lanes. We'll let everything else sort itself out from there.
Yeah, I'm wondering if just because they have Hovo standing in that this is going to be a one-position Doom. I know that he plays that quite well. And they banned out the Morphling here for Navi US, which I think is, they go Anti-Mage. Okay. I thought they were going to go Morphling as well, with a Lich Morphling dual lane and like a Venge Doom safe lane. And DK Phobos, one of his most comfortable heroes is the off-lane Puck. So I expect to see him there. Although with Anti-Mage, let's see here. They could do like a Lich Doom, Venge, Anti-Mage. This is interesting draft from VP.Polar. If Navi US wants to go aggressive, I think they have all the means to do so. If they did meet themselves with a Tidehunter Tidehunter safe lane against Puck, that's fine. Even if it's Tidehunter plus or Tidehunter against like Lich something, I think it's still fine. Tidehunter is great in the safe lane against aggression or any kind of aggression. So interesting draft from VP.Polar.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I was thinking the same thing. You see the Wraith King come out. Last time we saw Navi in action, they ran the one-position Wraith King, and that's just a question of do they prioritize. Yeah, there'll be the Zeus, and I want to see who's going to end up being on that Zeus. This could be fun, as, again, Merlini filling in, and he does have quite a like for that hero, and it is going to be Merlini. That's kind of what I figured. But yeah, we'll see immediately if they're going to end up going aggressive here. I kind of think it would be a good call from them. And again, it comes down to how they're going to lane it. Like you said, DK Phobos on the Puck could be out in the off lane. That could be their mid. It could be Doom out in the off lane as well. Really like the Tidehunter versus Doom matchup. I feel like that's just a flat win for the Tide in almost all situations. So if you can go aggressive, put some pressure onto a lane that is kind of tough to get in the face of because of the power of Lich in terms of his ways of just messing up the laning phase. Sacrifice really does have a big impact. But I mean, the Venge and the Lich, so long as you're positionally okay and so long as you're being very, very cautious, those are 2 heroes you can punish just because they're not the tankiest heroes in the world, and you're just going to not get caught out, not make mistakes, not get too aggressive. So they're going to move out, and yeah, not going to be the point, as they're going to go ahead and send Fogged and MSS up the top, so very standard stuff. It'll be the off-lane Tide, played by Korok, with MSS Fogged as the supporting cast for Ush, who's going to be on the Wraith King, and Merlini, our good friend Ben, going to be on the Zeus. And yeah, other than that, it looks like it will be Havost who's heading out to the off lane on the Doom.
Okay. So if they did a Lich dual lane mid and then Anti-Mage free farm bottom against Tidehunter, I feel like this is really, really good for VP.Polar if Navi US is letting them get away with it. Like, giving them the ability to free farm an Anti-Mage or a Spectre or any hero like that can just take over a game once they get their very big core item. Like, whether it be Radiance or Battle Fury, I think, especially when you can get a dual lane in the mix, too, I think is borderline unacceptable. So we'll have to see how much they can actually zone out the Tide. I think that's the biggest thing. If Tide has a really good start and can actually get some decent farm, I think it's not too bad. It's just a matter of how much pressure can Lil on this Vengeful Spirit put. I think in the beginning, not very much, but if Lich gets like a rotation with the Rune, or if Illidan's very, very aggressive early on, which I've seen him do, and you can be on the Anti-Mage because of mana break, then maybe they can zone out the Tide. I think that's going to be the key here, is zoning out this Tide.
Well, I mean, and we've seen that time and time again, especially in the East. It seemed like anytime a Tidehunter was picked up, if you were able to hold him down, able to keep his level gain in particular very low, and as a consequence, if he's not gaining levels, he's certainly not getting CS, it can be such a slow process of recovery. I mean, you can do things with your supports, move him into the jungle, stack, and let him come in and anchor smash. He can, of course, stack his own Ancients. I'm actually surprised when we see Tide off lane, we don't see more more wards go down just to ward the ancient camp. I think that's actually just a really small investment that does pay off in terms of reducing their, increasing the time it's going to take before you see a blink and arc boots up on the Tide. But yeah, already they're putting that pressure on. He's just trying to stay right in XP range for the moment and doing a little damage to Lil in the meantime. Let's talk about this other lane. As we actually have Lich, who's rotated up there, and Havos went straight into the jungle.
Look at DK Phobos. He's putting so much pressure on the Merlini in mid here. Luckily, he does get his bottle, but not only was he doing that to just do some damage, but wasn't wanting to take damage from the Chain Lightning as well and kind of mitigate some CS from Zeus. So does pop his salve, actually. Sent himself a salve, and he'll have a bottle up shortly. So doing not too bad here in the mid lane. It's kind of a wash, like any lane against Zeus, unless it's a very, very aggressive hero that can really get into his face. It's just going to be a wash, just because Zeus is really good about getting CS from afar. But bottom lane, yeah, Korok, holy crap, putting some pressure, and he might, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, that's a feat. I was watching all of that, and I thought he was going to head this way, and right about the time you started to speak is whenever it got out of hand. But yeah, he chased the Venge. You see how low the Venge is?
Yeah, I did.
That's him literally just chasing her through the jungle over and back a lot. And he was just right-clicking her and anchor smashing her right in front of the anti-mage, and then just hung around too long and ended up dying. So very bizarre death. Hanging around just a little long. Wow, look at that right-click from the Lich. Speaking of the Lich out in this offlane by himself, he's already up to level 2 3/4. And the Tide, after that death, he's about half a level behind, give or take. And in the jungle, Havost going with the level 1 Jungle Doom. I guess not quite level 1. Got level 2 most likely before he ducked in, but seems to be doing just fine. Korok's coming over to try to mess with him a little bit. This mid matchup, the Puck and the Zeus, slightly a win for Phobos right now. It's 11-8, and Merlini spamming the wave out as we speak. But looks like things are going to be a little static for a while. I don't see a lot of pressure coming out from either of these two teams right now.
Yeah, I can't. And Korok, you just can't really find a place where to go. Like, I think he should have just stayed bottom during that exchange. When he was chasing that Doom there was no chance he was actually killing him. At least, I guess at the very least, he's kind of stopping his farm a little bit. But I can't believe that VP.Polar are getting away with this. Like, Navi US aren't even stacking for the Sand King. Like, they don't have any stacks for him. I figured if they're just completely just going, all right, well, we'll let you get your farm. We'll get our free farm on our Wraith King, but we're going to stack big time and let our Sand King get an 8-minute blink. They're not even doing that. I think that's a big mistake. So they're letting this mid matchup be okay. They're allowing a jungle Doom. They're allowing anti-mage to get free farm. So we'll have to see if this carry Wraith King is really that strong. It's really as strong as they think it is, because I'm very scared with the free farming anti-mage. You already got first blood under his belt.
Well, you make a great point. Not stacking for the Sand King. The Tide is getting a bit more now. He was able to play in front of the wave for a few minutes here as Lil had to go back to base and so on. But one can imagine that the Sand King's blink's going to be a little bit delayed, and most likely the Tide, obviously, is going to have his delayed. And we're going to have a haste picked up by Havost, and this is probably Korok's death. Yeah, he's got Scorched Earth even if he wants to use it. He's just going to follow him and right-click, trying to juke him on the stairs. This is going to be the second death. Korok going to try to deny himself, and Havost finishes him off. Had the clap stolen from our favorite named neutral creep in of all time, the Hellbear Smasher, best name, 2014. 2-0 though, and VP.Polar in great shape. And yeah, I'm worried, man. Like you said, that's now the second death on the Tide. What little gold he's had, he's given away, and he's going to be late to a blink. The Sand King getting no help in the jungle. MSS is level 3, so we'll see how quickly he can jungle now that he's got 2 points in the Sandstorm. He did put 2. No, he'll place it here in a second. Okay,
well, but, he'll stack this one, and he has one more stack too. But this is, I mean, it's good that they're finally stacking, but it needed to happen a lot earlier, and they need to have more of it. So, at the very least, yeah, now he has something to work with.
He got mud golems.
Got mud golems, though. Yeah, that sucks. But could be a little bit worse, but it definitely could be way better. And Korok, of course, didn't stack his ancients either, which weren't warden. And Phobos
dead. Oh, nice phase shift. He got a little bit of damage done, but unfortunately ends up biting the dust. He actually got Merlini with that. I thought he just did damage. Merlini was very low, so he ends up... Did he get that kill before he died?
Yes.
He had to.
Yes, he did.
Wow, that's a huge win for Polar then. I thought he threw that out just to do damage in anticipation of the reaction. Speaking of reactions, mine a little slow today, still a little tired. But yeah, I thought he was just trying to do damage. If he could, yeah, so he gets full credit for the kill. Meanwhile, the mid on the other side, Merlini, bit the dust before he died. So that's actually a big exchange, and now Polar leading 4-1.
Well, Zeus does have his ulti now, which is like one of the most comforting ultis in the game because you feel like you can be effective no matter what. Whereas sometimes, like if you're farming in the mid lane and you feel like you have to go gank, but you know in your deep heart that it's not right to, you just sit in mid and pressure and then farm. But Zeus, you don't have to worry about that because you always have your ulti to help out. So you can farm. I actually like getting, and of course I do because I love Midas. I actually like getting Midas on Zeus because I feel like why not? You're gonna be you'll be losing out on experience because you're farming a lot, but you can always help out with a global ulti. You need the levels. I'm just saying, I like it.
Greedy. So greedy. But it does make sense. That said, I pick on you a lot. Do think there are some situations in which Midas maybe doesn't need to be bought every game. But I can get behind it on the Zeus, because like you said, I mean, it's not like there's some big... I mean, you basically are looking for 2 items on Zeus as quick as possible. Your Scepter and your Refresher. And those items don't go... There's no, like, mid-game item to prioritize. There's no, like, oh, man, if I don't get a BKB, I can't survive. Because you're not going to build one of those most of the time anyway. Merlini got coiled, doesn't have a ton of mana. And the reaction is coming. That is Korok who's showing up. Korok just level 4. And he's not in horrible shape, but... Well, I mean, he's tied for the lowest level on the map, along with, unfortunately, MSS. They're going to start to roam as they 3-man smoke, and they need to make this work. Phobos, see how quick his reactions are. They're going to come up on him. There's a phase shift, and that's actually just misplayed. He had his illusory orb, and if he threw his illusory orb and then phase shifted, maybe he gets away there. But either way, nice play. From Navi US, and they get what they came for. They kill him mid.
He also totally missed his illusory orb when he coiled the Zeus. Like he coiled and just straight up missed his orb. Like it's 100% a kill there on the Zeus if he hits it. And then he went in to try to use his waning rift, but it looked like it didn't even do damage. But it's just level 1, so it only does 70 damage. I thought he missed it, but yeah, he missed out on a big opportunity right there.
Speaking of Midas, Havost wants his, and he's not so far away. Few hundred gold, and he'll have 1 up, so you're talking probably in the vicinity of a 9 to 10 minute Midas at most.
Ooh, he has his ulti here for mid.
Yep. And Merlini may end up dead here. Yep, steps out.
They're waiting on the coil. They're waiting on the coil in 2 seconds, yep.
Yeah, it looks like Merlini sniffs it out, too. This is really good game sense from Ben. He's just hanging around and then decides to pull back. If he... you're greedy. Ben... caught being a little greedy. You could tell he actually did have a sense of what was coming. Because it's odd that he... Well, hang on. Reinitiation. They're going to catch Havost from behind. And he does end up dropping. So nice play from Na'Vi. Shame they have to lose their Zeus beforehand, but getting something in return in Havost. A very nice kill to grab. And that's a fair amount of experience for these heroes that really needed. Yeah, and all of a sudden, Sand King, who was very low, he was level 4 just moments ago. And by moments, I mean like 90 to 120 seconds ago. Now finds himself sitting at just south of level 7. So good rotations, guys.
Yeah, it is good rotations from the supports. And MSS almost has his blink too, which is really going to be the way that Na'Vi can get back in this game. Like he'll get a blink, create more space for the Wraith King, who's might be going for that Radiance build again. I'm not quite sure, but if there's anything that I've learned in the last few months is that Wraith King 1 isn't as bad as I once thought it was. I used to think it was just awful, but I don't think it's that bad anymore. I think he can output a lot of damage. Especially against lineups that really like your Doom, that really like Panda, you know? You don't have to be so scared of fighting in these fights and right in the front lines, so.
Yep. I feel like Wraith King 1 is one of those picks that can be outstanding. Oh, Merlini gets spotted. He's going to go ahead and ulti. Do what damage he can, and Rosh even getting in the mix. He's hiding behind Roshan. Trying to use the big guy as a shield, and he's actually going to stay alive for now. Is he going to get a kill? No, but Fogged is. Now Merlini's going to end up dead. Phobos, in the meantime, did jaunt inside the pit. Fogg follows him in and gets a double kill. So that's a 2 for 1. Unfortunately, the very level-dependent snowball-ish hero, Zeus, does end up dropping yet again. So Ben having a bit of a rough start, 0-3-4 for him. But they do end up getting a double kill nonetheless, and Jonas is looking great. on why am I in the mood to call everyone I know by their first name? I have no clue. Like sometimes it just comes and it goes.
All right,
Fog.
what's Savos' first name? We know.
Is it Alexi?
I have no idea.
I honestly couldn't tell you. He is and will always be a host.
Or 4.
Yeah. Or 4. I know pretty much everyone.
Oh no, they missed the tower tonight. Oh, that was very unfortunate. They had 2 heroes down there trying to do it too, Zeus and Fog. Oh, that's kind of a big deal, but oh well. Crap happens. Illidan, he is, what is he, about 600 gold away from his Battle Fury with treads. So we've been seeing this anti-mage drafted a lot, and the fact that it's getting, consistently a 13-minute Battle Fury with treads. I say with treads because, when you say Battle Fury, people just think it's just a Battle Fury, but treads obviously cost, 950 gold more, so.
Well, hell, I mean, tack on another 300 to it for the poor man's. That's just assuming, the agility. I mean, you're going to see, even if he comes to lane with the stout shield. Anyway, Korok is level 7, will Ravage. Got a couple on the high ground, and they will be able to bring down. No, Phobos actually phase shifted it. Doesn't last for long as the Arc Lightning fills him up and finishes him off. MSS following up with the help of Fogged and Merlini there to make it another 2-for-1 exchange. And these, they're slowly working their way back into this. They're giving up heroes, but they're giving them up with a purpose. And it is still VP's lead, even after that exchange in mid. But it is staying very manageable now for Na'Vi US. MSS is really getting it together here. And before we had that action down in the river, what I was going to say is, the one position Wraith King. Yep. Oh, he's silenced. A lot of burst damage. Can they finish him off? Yeah, they can. That's a great kill for them. And it was Merlini that got it too, Zeus. Very much in need of a little bit of a catch-up there. And now all of a sudden he's responsible for 2 kills after starting out 0-3.
Well, at the very least he did just pick up his Battle Fury, but he should have knew that was coming because he blinked aggressively into their secret shop and he saw heroes from mid walking towards you. So if anything, at least hide until your next blink cooldown comes up. So it was very unfortunate, but very nicely done by Na'Vi US, capitalizing on that. And I was actually just going to say, they should maybe start using this Epicenter now aggressively on specifically the Anti-Mage. If I'm Anti-Mage, just because I know that I can get bursted down from full to nothing before I can blink, I would just completely stay in the jungle. At least until you get like a Manta or something like, or not a Manta, but like another item, or if VP.Polar like starts to initiate a fight, then you can come in the backside and clean it up. But yeah, he actually TP's top. Okay, he's going to get like half a creep wave maybe and then leave. Interesting. I don't know if this is a very good rotation.
Mid. Merlini in trouble again. There's a swap. And not sure why. I got there just in time to see the swap, and I'm confused as to why it happened. I guess because he wanted to get closer faster. Anyway, 8-8. And they are just pressuring the hell out of this Zeus, and Merlini struggling to keep himself on the map for more than a few minutes at a time before dying. They're going to come back and actually end up popping the smoke immediately on the Phobos. The Mystic Flare following up the Burrow Strike. Lil throws out the magic missile, but no reprisal yet. And yeah, they're not even going to try to pursue. These two are doing work, man. Like, honestly, Fogged and MSS are largely the reason why Na'Vi US has not found themselves in a deep hole. Korok is still working towards his blink. The Wraith King just finished his. Korok's very, very, very underfarmed right now. 2,800 gold just for him. I mean, he has to get something going. He has to get up his Arc Boots and his blink. Speaking of blink, Doom has his up now. But MSS and Fogged have just been everywhere. And we can see, yeah, Fogged is 5-1, and MSS is 2-0. So you're talking a collective 7-1 with Na'Vi US tallying 9 kills. Those two have just been going crazy here in the first 15.
I just don't understand these rotations and the farming patterns from Illidan. He TP top, got 1 creep wave, went all the way over here to 1 camp.
Epi, gonna whiff.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
MSS took his... Oh, now they're going to pay for it. He does have Ravage on... No, Korok's down in a hurry. There's going to be the Chain Frost. Does get another bounce. MSS is down now. Ush is going to be coming back in. MSS actually did manage to get off a Burrow Strike. There's Illidan helping clean shop, though, and now he's going to chase Merlini behind that. The rest have to retreat. Mystic Flare off the mark. Illidan will be engaged by Ush, and they actually managed to turn it around. I'll tell you, man, Fogged and MSS are just making such good decisions. And they're, and it's the kind of thing where you see their abilities go off. It's like, oh, okay, they're just right place, right time. Yeah, but it's not luck. Like their positioning, their decision-making as to where to be, their reactions, their rotations, their movement as a whole is keeping Na'Vi US in this, because basically outside of them just ganking well and outside of them punishing over-aggression from Polar, Na'Vi US would be in bad shape. You've got 0-4 on Korok, and you've got, let's see, where's the Zeus? Yeah, he's 3-4. So even though Zeus has gotten 3 kills, he's died 4 times. Those two are just really having the water carried by Fogged and by MSS for sure.
I still think that if AM just didn't show up and just farm, he would just farm his way to victory. He's got 14 CS since he acquired his Battle Fury 3.5 minutes ago. 14 CS. That's including like every jungle creeps. Like I think he had such a great time, and he's just kind of not utilizing the great farm that he had. Here comes actually a pause, but it's also going to be a smoke from Fogged and MSS yet again, aggressively into the jungle. And if Illidan shows his face down here and tries to be aggressive on Korok, Korok might die, but if he gets off his Ravage, they're both definitely going to be dead if the supporters can get there in time. And is there a Zeus ulti in 10 seconds? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the amazing thing about that fight in mid, too. They got engaged. Korok had time to get off the Ravage and didn't whenever they were engaging and pushing through. And if he had, that's probably a much bigger win for Na'Vi US. And like you said, he has it now. So if they decide to take a run at him, he might be able to punish them for that. But I'm actually really impressed with the way Na'Vi US is playing. And, again, MSS and Fogged in particular are really doing a great job. Let's talk a little bit about this matchup while we are paused of the Wraith King and the Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage, obviously, a really solid pick against the Wraith King, being able to burn his mana and take his ulti out of the equation whenever they are going head-to-head, and be it one-on-one or obviously big 5-man team fights. But item build for Illidan. If he's going to be able to get on the Wraith King, stay on the Wraith King, and actually get the job done, and when you look at the damage sources from Na'Vi US, I feel like an early BKB is very essential here. He's already picked up his Blade of Alacrity, so he's going to get at least the Yasha, if not straight up to a Manta. But after that, I feel like a BKB would serve him very, very well. Yeah,
I completely agree with that. He definitely does need BKB. He's also going to need in late game Basher, just because like going 1v1 against Wraith King, you'd think the Anti-Mage would win every time, but Wraith King actually outputs a ton of damage.
Oh yeah.
So he's actually going to need to be able to have that extra ability to bash, just so that he can stay out in these fights. But anyway, here we go. Bottom lane. Illidan is still showing his face. He should be farming. He's a ganking Anti-Mage. He ganked in the mid. Now he's trying to gank Tidehunter, and they might get side or backs. Yep, here we go.
Illidan out front, and Lil gone in a hurry. There's the blink in from Avos. He actually dooms Fogged, but he's going to have a hard time catching him out. Fogged is hustling right now. And here comes Illidan back in. He's going to go ahead and use the Mana Void. Fogged very low. That should kill him with the Doom. Yeah, he does end up dying to that. And now they catch Merlini, and poor Ben. Ravage behind that got two. They're going to try to follow it up. Ush is there. Can they get Phobos? They will. Now Illidan going toe-to-toe. Ush having his mana burn, and Illidan decides to disengage as well. MSS in the meantime finds another kill onto the Lich as he tried to retreat to the high ground on the Radiant side of the river. Another 2 for 2. Puck and Lich for Zeus and Skywrath. I'd call that roughly a wash. Although by the metrics, no, actually, yeah, they lost 3. I forgot. Lil got wiped out so quick that he had already respawned by the time the fight was over. So another win for Na'Vi US.
Yep, and Epicenter was still available for MSS. Doesn't have mana right now, and he's farming very, very well for himself. Has level 2 Epicenter now. And the rotations from Illidan is still interesting. Like, he chose to go do Ancients as well, which weren't stacked. He's actually getting Fogged. If he can catch Illidan too, it's like a for sure kill.
Swap onto Korok in mid. Korok manages to keep himself alive for a little while using his wand charges. They're way over pursuing this. Here comes the reaction. Havos is dead. He just fed it. And now there's going to be a Chain Frost tossed out, but the creeps are eating the majority of the damage. Mech's on the way. And that keeps FNG up a little while. Now, Low Hardy caught from behind. Ush has just been doing work, man. He's going to stay right on him. Should be able to tally his 3rd kill here. If he can get on top of him, yep, Wraith Fire Blast does the job. Behind that, there was a coil. Fogg's very low, does end up dead, but Ush and MSS are there to help finish off DK Phobos. Another 3 for 2. And Navi US is just nickeling and diming them to death, man. Like, these fights are very, very close. There's a lot of back and forth. That didn't include Ravage, though. And they still went 3 for 2. Another roughly 800 gold exchange and 1,000 XP win for Navi, and they have a real chance to get this tower now. And just look at the gold grab. Like, what's curious about this is the fact that VP seems to start taking a lead and then they give up a fight, or it's something like that where they trade 2 for 3. And Navi US has really just been keeping this very, very close. Really, really close, all because they're winning these engagements by slim margins.
Yep, absolutely. And Anti-Mage's not going to go for a Vlad's first. It's going to be the straight Manta, which I think is probably the right call-up. Here, swap onto Merlini in mid. He is just getting killed over and over. He is pretty tanky, and it looks like he will live. There is a mech actually on the side of the Lich, believe it or not. Wow. Doom Kevin's out on Fogged, and he will probably die unless he gets denied, and he can't get denied. So actually, I didn't even notice this, but nice farm from FNG with the mech on the Lich.
Oh yeah, he's had that for a minute or two as well.
Wow.
That's the second or third usage he's had of it.
Well, I'm just stupid then.
That caster's curse, dude. Get a little too focused on other things. You know, it's a good problem to have because we've got 32 kills on the board at 20 minutes. Kind of tough to get into the minutia of urns and mechanisms. Speaking of urn, there's FNGs. Kind of tough to get in the minutia of those and their timing whenever you have kills going on across the board everywhere. There's finally the Blink Dagger done on Korok. I actually feel like Navi US is now at the advantage. That was my big question again. Like, they've had the Blink up on the Sand King. They've had Merlini, unfortunately, having a rough start. I mean, look at his farm, man. He didn't go Midas. Hell, he doesn't have tier 2 boots. He's got drums, soul ring, bottle. That's his entire early game. But with the Blink up on Korok now, and what's tending to happen here is Polar's rotating 1 or 2 and starting a fight with 1 or 2, and then within 30 seconds, it's a 3-on-3 or a 4-on-4. If Korok can show patience in these situations, especially like here in mid where both tier 1s are still standing, and there's very likely to be more of an engagement, if he can show a little patience and hold on to that, just let Ush lead with the chin and get him to group up, they'll be able to take a huge win off of a good Ravage. Like, we have yet to see a real money in the bank Ravage.
Yep, and Usher with his Deso and Blink, he's going to hit so hard. Like, if he gets crits, I think he's going to hit upwards of, like, 550, maybe 600 or something like that. And he doesn't care either, because I don't think the mana burn's enough, actually, from Illidan to actually stop his ulti.
And they actually overly committed there to an illusion. Ush trying to chase them back. Korok, by now they've spotted the Blink, and they know why they're being so chest out. With a Blink in tow, a couple of them actually. The ability to just take a very big fight has increased astronomically. And looks like we might get a little bit of a break now. The tier 1 did die. Now they're going to try to maybe find Illidan. Illidan's basically got his Manta done. And after this, though, I think we are of the same mind. I would actually like to see him go BKB, Heart, Basher to finish his build. I feel like that would put him in a real nice position against Ush.
Yeah, I actually like that as well. And if he gets stunned out right here, he blinks right over them. And he actually is doing some nice juking. So well played by Illidan right there. And he has to pick up his Manta. So at the very least, he can get out of the silence with this guy Wrath. That's the most important thing. Here comes the smoke from 3 members. Lil's going to try to get the swap here, but they know something's up. And there's a medallion pickup on Korok to help him do Roshan, which they can do very easily with Deso and Wraith King. Anti-Mage maybe trying to bait something out here. This is not exactly the strongest combo of heroes to be baiting for, though. Although you do have to swap out for disengage. And Ush has just been sitting here for a long time trying to find someone to pick off.
Oh, yeah. He's been wandering around a bit. A little bit of wasted time, but he is still very, very farmed. He's actually more farmed than Illidan is now, who had 14-minute treads. Poor man's Battle Fury. He is going to engage onto Doom, and he can, swap him. There you go.
I don't know.
Ush is going to... Yeah, this is a feed. And he's going to get doomed as soon as he pops back up. Actually, he'll get a stun off. It doesn't matter. That is huge. Like, can't say enough how big of a win that actually is. Especially with the Anti-Mage coming in to secure the kill. That's a Shiva's done on Havos now. The Anti-Mage. That basically caught him up 700 net worth. Just flat out. Just being there for that kill. And now MSS going to go in on him. Tide's there. Will he solo Ravage? He will. So they get payback immediately. And that's what they needed. They can't be allowing Illidan to get too far ahead on dumb deaths like we just saw from Ush.
Yeah, those are back-to-back. Really, like, I don't know why he thought he could kill the Doom, especially right after he goes in and he blinked stunned, and then he attacked, and he should have known right from the get-go, I don't have enough damage and disengaged. He is gonna fall. Yep.
Tell you what, this ward still has 3 minutes left on it, and they dropped another one there for reasons I don't understand.
Where is that?
Right here in mid.
Yeah, that's
like, I understand
funny.
if it was about to fade, but still had 3 minutes. Whatever. They also drop a sentry and then don't D-ward.
Well, he did die.
I mean, that's can't. Yeah, I guess it went down, but or right before he died. But anyway, looks like Na'Vi got eyes on Roshan, putting that medallion to use. They should be able to take this pretty quickly.
Yep, and Ush has his ulti up again, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, he can't use his Midas because he's doing Roche, but he's going for a Blacking War, which I think is the right decision. I think he needs to not get caught up by the coil and kite it out by slows and stuns and whatnot, and this will help him do that. Oh, they're going to fight this!
Doom on the Korok.
It's stolen!
Oh, he got it! Havost snatched it! Snatched the Aegis. He just wandered in, doomed one, and now he's going to end up giving it right back up. But there's a swap on the Merlini. Illidan's right behind him, going to use his Manta. Burrow Strike from MSS, trying to make his way out. That is just a ballsy play. He literally just walked in, doomed, smacked Roshan, and took the Aegis. It was without hesitation. Wasn't even a big deal. Didn't blink, whatever. Just walked in, did his thing, and a big win for Polar as a result. And again, just look at the gold graph, man. And the experience isn't quite as extreme in its modulations, but here's the Ush engaging onto Havost in mid. He does have his ulti, and he just can't touch Havost. He's got 14 armor Shivas. I mean, like, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, and the Ravage wasn't ready there. I was wondering about that. Very unfortunate, but he also doomed quickly the Tide. Very, very quickly on the Tide, so nicely done by Havost. This guy, I've said this before, actually, when I believe it was actually last season when I first started casting with you and we were watching Na'Vi at the time, and Havost was playing Doom a lot, and I was like, and a lot of times they would kind of sacrifice him in the beginning, like send him in the off lane, or prioritize farm, and then they got aggressed, so like they kind of threw him in the jungle, and I was like, oh my god, he still has so much farm, and this is the same case. Like, he was, like, wandering around the jungle at level 1, trying to get some farm, being chased by a Tide a little bit, and he's got, look at this farm. This is very impressive farm.
He's on par with with a Battle Fury Animage and Ush with a Midas. Like, that's where his level of farm is. And granted, he has a Midas of his own, so can only say so much about it. He's 4-2 though, and continued to work well in this Polar squad. And now it's a question of how these teams want to transition. The early fireworks of the early game have ceased for the most part. And I think Polar, I don't know, it's tough to say. Like, actually, I think Polar would be happy going to the late game here. They've got the Venge to help out the Doom and the Animage with their damage. That's always nice. Illidan did get spotted. I actually got silenced now by Fog. Merlini's going to be there, and they're going to get a free one. He has to stop dying.
Yeah.
That's one that just should not have happened. He's in the wrong place at the wrong time way too often.
I don't know why he's so on the same side of his team all the time. I think he needs to be spreading out and farming on the other side of the map. And another pause coming out here. Let me check the pings, because I know that the server was doing crazy stuff earlier. It seems to be fine now. Okay. But, yeah, I'm just... the rotations and the farming patterns I don't think are optimal from the anti-mage this game, unfortunately. But, you know, hey, space created for the rest of your team, I suppose. Because the Doom is getting very farmed. He's probably going to go... My guess is BKB. Like, it seems obvious here. He has a completed BKB, actually. So, yes, it is going to be BKB.
Who?
Havost.
Oh, wow.
It's on the
He
courier.
has it just on the courier?
Yeah, the full BKB.
All right, then. I was going to say Illidan's going for his. He's got his Ogre Club. Wow. Havost is kind of big, isn't he?
He is.
We'll find out how they're going to put that to use, as I think they do have a chance to get aggressive now. Illidan has disconnected, so it looks like he's going to reconnect. While we wait, Want to thank everyone for being a part of the broadcast. Know a lot's going on this weekend, so choosing to spend a little time with us, we're certainly appreciative of that. This is going to be the front end of 2 best of 3s here today. It's a Polar doubleheader, and this is game 1 of the leadoff. And win, lose, or draw, well, no such thing as draws in Dota. Win or lose, Polar will be taking on Evil Geniuses. Coming up at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. East Coast, and 9 p.m. for our European brothers and sisters, also known as 2100. So make sure you follow here on Twitch, twitch.tv/D2L. Want to make sure you don't miss a minute of the action here today, and certainly don't want you to miss a minute of the action looking ahead as well. Now into the nitty-gritty of the West. We've already got our East Division finished off, and we're going to be down. Like, we have one more series tomorrow, and then Tralf and I actually get a few days off. I want to say it's 4 or 5 days. Then we come back and finish the Western Division right after that. So don't worry, we'll miss you. We hope you miss us. But again, hit follow here on twitch.tv/D2L. And you don't have to worry about such things. Just check your email. You'll know when we're back.
Unpause coming, and the epicenter, of course, was used, but not really needed on the last engagement of the anti-mage, so he probably can't initiate here. Or can they? They want to fight, actually.
If they're going to go in, they got the stun on Tavos. Tavos had his BKB on the way. Yeah, look at that. His BKB literally flew next to him, and they turned the courier around. They got to hurry up and get that thing to safety, and they will. Still, that's a kill on the 2 cores, the 2 main cores of Polar in a matter of about 60 seconds. And I think Navi US is rolling here, man. I think they look great.
Yeah, they're fighting very deliberately. They know what they want to do in fights. It's not like, oh, I want to TP and defend this tower. They're all TPing at the same time. So the communication is there. It's definitely working.
Pushing through to the tier 2.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
They have Ravage. And I don't know that they can really defend this. Not without Doom. Like, they're to a point where they have to have Doom to fight.
Radiant's top tower
MSS in position over on the side. Korok waiting behind. Merlini has his ulti again in 5 seconds or so.
Dire's middle tower is under
and they're actually going to go ahead and TP out. Wow, this is really, really passive from them. I think they could have taken the tower easily.
Probably. There are spells up, though, for VP.Polar. Like you mentioned, Doom is coming up in about a few seconds. They had the Chain Frost. They have Puck Coil. But I do agree with you. I think that their team fight is way stronger even without the epicenter. And I don't think that Illidan can really fight without a BKB right now. And he shouldn't be fighting. He should have never been fighting ever. Except maybe coming in for like that 1 kill up top for the Doom, like that was fine. It's like things like that you come in for, but don't go out of your way blinking towards the team to try to get some kills. That's not the way to play anti-mage, in my opinion.
I'll tell you what's surprising though, is despite the fact that he's died 4 times, so he's sitting at 4 and 4. He has been spending a lot of time running in circles, which he literally was doing right here, which is funny. Like, I was watching him, he's just waiting on the creep wave, but he was literally running in circles while he waited. Been spending a lot of time, running in circles around the map. It's a waste of time. And like you said, going to fights he arguably had no business being in. But he's still right there with the Wraith King to win Midas. And Ush, well, I don't know though. Ush is 3 and 1. He's been showing up to fights as well. Still, he could be further ahead. But as it stands, he's at least on even ground. There's his BKB done. I think we're both in agreement. Next, he just needs to tank up because he's gonna have to deal with big damage output from the Wraith King just in terms of pure physical damage. So a heart would seem to make the most sense. Although I guess he could go butterfly and answer just in a different way. However, I think Ush will anticipate that and we'll get an MKB next.
Well, that and even with this BKB Manta, his HP isn't really that impressive. And Ush, if he gets some crits on the Wraith King, can just cut right through him. And he doesn't really care too much about the BKB. It's everyone else that cares about the BKB on the side of Navi US. So he's still pretty squishy. So I think Heart is the right decision here.
Yep. I would be on board. Up at top, they're pushing. And it's good. Yeah, I was going to say, this is actually bad for Navi US. They can't just do this. They're trying to trade tower for tower, but Polar should, in theory, push faster. I don't know. Ush is hitting so damn hard. And the Glyph bought some time. No, it's definitely still Polar pushing harder.
Yeah, they have a DD on the anti-mage. Oh, they back up.
And yeah, they're going to end up giving up a tier 2 and getting nothing for it. Both teams making some missteps here and there, but for the most part, I do feel like Navi US is, at least from a strategic and shot calling point of view, outplaying VP. VP is showing us some decent stuff here and there. Have they not TP'd anyone home? Here they come. This is a little late. There's going to be a 2-man burrow strike, though. Here comes the Tide. Ravage! And the BKB up on Illidan first. He was a little slow getting there. Ush has come in. He has to use his BKB as well. Illidan looks like he doesn't want a part of it as they've gone 1-for-1 in a way that they think is better for them. Ush's BKB is going to be expiring now. Doom never did use Doom. And they're just going to blow him up. Using his BKB now to buy time. Shiva's slowing them down. But Ush is right on his tail. Puck, in the meantime, gets the kill on Fog. Wasn't watching that. Was watching the pursuit on Doom. They do manage to track him down in the trees. And now Merlini making a run for it. Actually got Yules. And Force Staff, not going to matter. As DK Phobos notches a double kill. And guess who's stuck over here in the trees? This is actually horrendous. There's his blink. He's got to run. He's got to run fast. Oh, they guessed the wrong direction.
He has 7 seconds on his TP. 7, 4, 3. They found him.
Up.
Oh, no.
There's the ulti. The old Manta here, yep. And the magic missile. Yeah, that was not a little bit. That was way too aggressive when they were pursuing Doom. And got himself caught in the trees. And that ends up being a big turnaround in favor of Polar. That's like a 1,200 gold swing and 2,200 experience swing at 32 minutes. The anti-mage is now back on top in terms of overall net worth. Doom is right there in the same vicinity, though not quite as high as the Wraith King. But that was just an unnecessary death. And poor Merlini, man. He's gotten 6 kills, but he's died 7 times this game. Phobos, after getting a double kill, will be able to jaunt to safety. Kinda. There's the blink.
Yeah, I actually think that might have been on Korok. I think when he blinked in, and speaking of Korok, he's actually taking a lot of damage, gets the Force Staff. Lil tries to swap himself for a stun, but couldn't get in range after the Force Staff. But if you saw when he blinked in, he kind of hesitated after he cast the Ravage. He blinked in and maybe thought about it. And that little bit of hesitation gave the time to Illidan to use the BKB. If he just goes in there instinctively, casts it as fast as he can, I don't think the Illidan gets the BKB off in time. Because his blink position was good. It was like right on top of him. But he just took a little bit of extra time that I don't think he needed to.
No, I agree with you. And it wasn't just Illidan. I think if he blinks immediately, maybe the reaction from the Puck's a little slow and he doesn't phase shift. There was definitely a moment where he went in and tried to evaluate how many heroes he was going to get and whether or not it was going to be worthwhile. I also feel like they should have rotated him up the top earlier anyway. Like, they knew that they were pushing there. They pulled back, reset with the creep wave, and that's fine. And if you don't want to send everyone, I understand. Doom onto Fogged, and yeah, he's dead. Avos is going to stay on him just to make sure he's in range. Fog going to the creeps.
Nice try.
Nope, close. It was a nice try. Yep, and Fog. Give him the crying face. There's going to be Assault Cuirass up on Ush, which is very nice. But, I mean, it's great for his teammates in terms of tanking them up. But this is where the fact that Polar just has 2 melee heroes who actually deal fairly well with him are going to start to come into play. He's going to have to compete with the Shivas from the Doom, and of course the Anti-Mage now with the Basher. He actually did skip his heart, but I mean Basher tanks you up a bit. Yeah. You think he goes straight up Abyssal, or do you think he now wants to build that heart, like saves for a Reaver at least?
He'll probably see how the game is going. Like if they're starting to kind of own them a little bit, he'll probably just go for an Abyssal, especially if they get the next Roshan. Like if he has Abyssal plus an Aegis, he can just be extremely aggressive in fights. And I do like the I do like the Basher. As you mentioned, it does give you some decent stats, like 6 strength, which is not a ton, but something. And I do think that Basher is very necessary this game anyway, so. Here comes Tidehunter. They have Blinks up ready to go, but Lil is invis for a little bit longer.
Manages to scurry to safety, and yeah, there's a TPL. 35 minutes in, and Doom might have to use his BKB. This will be his 9-second charge, and yeah, he's going to use it and run away. Stinks to use such a long duration charge just to run, but got to do what you got to do. That was actually, oh wow, that's what am I thinking? He's down to 7 seconds on that BKB already, so that was his 8-second charge.
Yep, but still made the right decision there. And he's going to go for a refresher now. And does he have anything else towards it? I imagine he does. Yeah, he's actually got the Oblivion staff, so he just needs the Perseverance now.
It is amazing how quickly games can get out of hand. And even eyeballing and even working as a caster. Hold that thought as NSS catches Illidan. There's going to be a solo Ravage. He is, wow, just standing and fighting. Magic damage doesn't do much to a BKB as he gets a solo kill against 3 heroes on the Tide. And now there's a coil on the MSS. MSS going to go invis, and they're scared to re-engage uphill into the dark, so playing back at least for now. Defensive coil effective. But yeah, take a look at the gold graph, man. Look how close this game was until that engagement at top and how bad it was in terms of just actually throwing the equilibrium that Navi US had managed to hold pretty much all game just by taking slightly better engagements to make up for the fact that the Anti-Mage, when he was farming so fast. You give up that much, you get the wrong kills on the wrong hero, and suddenly you're behind 10 grand.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, you can't. Well, losing fights against an anti-mage, that always seems to happen just because he farms so fast. And speaking of farming fast, he has a full abyssal up now. So now he can definitely contest with 1v1 farm. Oh, actually finds Fogs, and Fogs is so dead. And now he's got a dominating streak. He's 8, 4, and 5. And now the anti-mage pick is really starting to show itself with the free farm that you can have.
You know, an unsung hero we haven't talked a whole lot about outside of just mentioning the mech is FNG. FNG's 2, 5, and 8, so it's not as if he's been tallying a lot of kills. But for the most part, his Chain Frosts, when he's thrown them, have been on point. And
Caster Curse. Caster's Curse.
Yep. That's not his fault. He was under his own tower, and maybe it's going to end up being feeds. As they now want to re-engage. There's a silence from Phobos. Ush does have his ulti, and they will expend it. Here comes Illidan to help finish him off. And Illidan's taking a ton of damage nonetheless. Korok doesn't have Ravage. Ush is going to end up dropping again. And behind that, we actually see the Doom blinking and dooming on the MSS. Korok's going to end up dead to a magic missile behind the fight. Merlini can't do much, has his ulti, can expend it for and just hope for the best, and he does. But tossing in the air with the Yules is Merlini. Comes back down to an Abyssal from Illidan. And this is actually pretty much a disaster. And I stand by what I said. I'm not going to blame FNG for that, because if they're willing to get too aggressive and dive a tier 1 for a Lich kill, you know what? They want to give up 4 for FNG. They can do that. Roshan now going to be the prize. That poor man's shield going to be donated, I'm sure. And the Aegis going to be picked up by Illidan.
That was a really heads-up play by the Doom. I don't know if he... Oh, MSS comes in and is just going to feed, actually. I mean, I don't blame him. I feel like it's pretty desperate, you know, trying to get that Aegis. Although, there's still tier 2s up. So that probably was a feed. I don't think they're out of the woods just yet. Or I don't think they're secure to win, I should say. But he actually... The Doom blinked in without... I don't think he had vision. Maybe he had a clip of vision from an orb because it didn't have a ward. But he got the Doom off mid-epicenter on the Sand King. And that was pretty massive.
I mean, it might have just been...
Or the Venge. Or the Venge Wave of Terror. That could have been it, too.
That sounds like it's possible. He may have just seen him run in that direction and known that if they were going to fight, he was going to reset. Guess right. There's a Ravage. Got 2. Phobos is going to end up feeding his... No, he's actually not. It was Phobos who did pick up the Aegis. They do get the Doom. And we're actually going to see them re-engage. Phobos comes back out and swapped by Lil. And now Ush again caught. Ush has his ulti up again, but I don't think it's going to matter. Illidan's going to go right to town. There's the follow-up. Got the bash, and Ush is down. Tell you what's becoming obvious, man. There are, Anti-Mage, we've talked quite a bit because we've seen him picked up in a variety of circumstances in the East in particular. But, in terms of what I feel like Anti-Mage has become just over the last month, he just feels like a counter carry pick. Like, certain carries. Medusa, and now the Wraith King, who is just suffering massively at the hands of this Anti-Mage. Like, it's like you see those heroes just picking AM and farming, and he's going to be able to deal with them just fine late game, because I don't know, they're just going to call GG. I was just about to say, I don't know how in the world they could stop this when it feels like it doesn't matter what's in the Wraith King's inventory, the Anti-Mage is going to burn his ult and burn his mana, and it's simply not going to matter.
Yeah, well, I think it was an innate mistake to just let him free farm when you're doing dual lanes. Like, maybe if you completely tri-lane the Anti-Mage with, like, very, very strong supports behind him, then you could be like, we don't want to contest this. Our supports aren't as strong as theirs. Like, I could see that because Sand King's not the best in lane, especially to be aggressive. Skywrath's pretty good. Wraith King's not too bad, but Sand King's like, meh. So if that was the case, then maybe. But when you pick up a Lich, Lich is a terrible tri-laner. And normally when you pick up a Lich anyway, you're always dual laning. So they went, but they didn't even do that. They did off-lane Lich, basically. Jungle Doom. solo support Venge for the anti-mage and his mid solo puck, and they didn't punish that. And now the Sand King had a great time. He did not have too many stacks early on, but he had a great time because of the constant aggression onto the Zeus in mid, and they were just able to get some follow-up kills after that, which was fine. And MSS had a very good blink dagger as a result. But when you died, Korok died too many times early on, and that really was what set the pace, because anti-mage had that 13-minute battle fury with treads.
I'll tell you what, man, I think this game would have gotten completely out of hand very early if it wasn't for the play of Fogged and MSS. Just want to shout those two out. I mean, Merlini had a really tough early game, giving up 8 deaths, as you said. Korok, 9 deaths for him by the time all was said and done, which is a ton on a Tidehunter. Even when you lose, you usually don't even die that often. Ush finished at 4-4. I mean, he did his job. Finished up with 556 GPM. And was just a little bit behind the Doom. He was, of course, behind the Anti-Mage as well by the end, but he was right on par with the gold gain of Illidan's Anti-Mage for most of that game. So I feel like he did his job. He was just pressured, but Korok did struggle. Merlini struggled. Fogged and MSS had excellent early games, but just not enough to get him over the hump.